Hey, welcome back to Bookrata. I'm Marcus, one of the co-founders of Bookrata. Did you know that we actually have an entire module function for homeschool co-ops? And the secret is that you don't actually have to be a homeschool. It's for a group of families. So whether you're an organized homeschool, maybe you're a neighborhood, maybe it's an extended family, maybe it's your church group, whatever it is, if you have multiple families who want to organize and manage and just have fun reading together, we have the module for you. You can go right into the Bookrata store, sign up for a homeschool co-op. You have a co-op price and then a small price for every family who joins, which means it's actually much cheaper. If you know 5-6 families who want to be a part of this, it's actually cheaper for you to join together as a co-op than it is to go out on your own. A family membership is $16.99 a month, but if you have enough families in your co-op, it will actually end up being less than $5 a month because you get a full family membership along with your homeschool co-op membership. All right, so this is the admin account of where we created a homeschool co-op. You get to name your co-op. When you sign up, whatever name you use for your co-op is your URL Slug. You can change the name at any time, but that Slug stays the same. You get to decide how many seats are in your co-op. So if you want to add a family or if a family decides to leave, you can do that. You can invite families right here. It sends them a code. So with their free Bookrata membership, they just have to create an account and then enter that code, and boom, they now have a family plan and access to the homeschool co-op dashboard. So, and then as a family, when you have your family account, let's walk through that first. You get to manage your family. You get to come up with your family name. By default, it just pulls the last name from your account, but you can change it to whatever you want. If you want to call it the Peanuts Gang or whatever you want to call it, you can do that here, and that's how you'll be known in the co-op. And then you start adding your kids. So with a family plan and in the co-op, each child is unique. You get to create their account username, whatever they want to be. You create that. And you also create and manage their password. So right from your page, you get to create a password that you know that they'll remember, but no one else will guess. And then you go through each of the categories and you pick the maximum level you want that child to see when they're searching the Bookrata library. If you only want them to see books that are at a 3 or below in language, you click 3. If you don't care, you click no cap. The cohort information is optional, but it helps us go out and decide which books we're going to grab next when we know the demographics of the members who are looking. You can mark the account active or suspended. You own that. If you ever lose that family account or you leave the co-op, those kids will stay there, but they'll just jump to a suspended. And then any books that you have in My Books, these are books you've purchased directly from authors in their author storefront. And by doing that, when you purchase directly from authors like that, they actually get 100% of the profits from the book. We do not take a cut. We host the store for them. We host the file for them, but we don't take a cut of their royalties. So when you buy that book from them off of Amazon, you're giving Amazon money. If you buy it off of Bookrata Bookstore, you're giving the author the money. And the great thing is you can read it right here in your Bookrata account or listen. There's an audiobook feature as well. So we'll get to that more in a second. So let's go back to that family. So if you have a book in My Books and you want one of your children to read it, you can assign them that book here or in the homeschool. So let's go to our homeschool page. Lots of functionality here. It's really cool. And I'd love to hear as you go through it if you have other functions that you would love to see. So you've got your dashboard right here. You'll see now, first thing here, you get to set challenges. So you can set the challenge for the whole co-op. This is I'm the co-op manager on this account. I'll show you an account for a user, which is one of the families who's joined the co-op. But you can set a challenge for your group. We want to read this many books this summer as a co-op. We want to read this many books in December. Whatever it is, you pick the number, you pick the challenge title, the book goal. So let's say end of summer challenge, sprint to school. We want to read 10 books by the end of summer. So from now through, say, Labor Day. Now we have this challenge bar right here. Okay. Now rewards. You, as the co-op manager, you can set rewards for the entire co-op, but also as a family, you can set rewards for individual kids or the family as a whole, and you get to pick how many points they get per finished book. So you can set that. So if your kids are more motivated by big numbers, you can set 100 points per book, and then your reward is you have to get 1,000 points. However you want to do that, you can set the points per finished book. And then, so you see this example here, I set a reward. If they read every night this week, they can play video games on Saturday. They get 1 point. So every day when I see them read, I go in and grant that child 1 point. And then if they get 5 in a row, I redeem it. So let's create a new reward, and I'll show you how that works. For one of my kids, for each of my kids individually, or for the whole family, or if you're the co-op manager for the whole co-op. So let's just do for one of my kids, let's say reward title is they want to go to the pool. So we want them to read one whole book this week, 10 points per book. So we're going to say 10 points, and it's a real world reward. In other words, Bookrata can't take them to the pool. You take them to the pool. If you just want a digital badge for them winning it, you just pick that. So real world, which child? Let's go with Batman the hero and create. All right, so if Batman the hero wants to go to the pool this week, he's got to read a book so he can get his 10 points. You can also come up with other ways for him to earn rewards, because as soon as he reads one book, we'll show you this, it'll mark off, it'll give him 10 points, or you can give him points based on other things. He did his chores, he gets 2 points, whatever it is you want to do. Shows the weekly activity. You can choose whether you want an email every week with a summary of activity. And here's your shared shelf, and we'll walk through how to do that. You can add a book right here to your shared shelf. This is something that everyone in the co-op sees. So if you say, oh, this is a great book, I want everyone else in the co-op to know about it, you share it to the shelf and everyone can see that. And also reading lists are for the whole co-op. So if you're just a group of families, you want to share books, you want to have lists, you can all manage that here. If you're a homeschool and you have, whether you learn, sometimes you're organized in terms like a traditional school, sometimes not. However you manage that, you can add a term. So maybe we follow the traditional school and do a fall term, start date, day after Labor Day, end date right before Christmas vacation. So now we have fall term is right here. Okay, so we create a list. You can manage the list however you want. It can be by subject. It can be by learning module. It can be by age. It can be by gender. However you want to organize these reading lists. So say this one is the fall term, and maybe it's a fall term for your high school age, your teenagers, or whoever you want it to be for. You add books to the term or to this list, and then if you want to, you can pick which week they should be reading within the term. Okay? So week 1 through 4, we're studying Harry Potter. So everyone in the co-op knows that these are the books that we're studying this week. All right, so you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You don't have to have a term. You can just have lists. You can track them. And as people read them, they mark off that they've read them, and it goes towards their point total. All right, with the family, every kid gets their own username and account, right? So we'll show you the kids page here in a second, but this is a preview. So Batman the Hero has certain limits set for his page. He can only see books at a certain level. So this is what he would see, because these are all a 2. he would be able to see all these. But if I added, say, a 4 to this list, he wouldn't be able to see it, and you can get a preview of that. So let's add another book to the list, okay? Let's go, we're just going to go random, but we're going to go to maybe a higher rated book. So let's just pick this one. We're going to share to our co-op shelf. Okay. All right, that book is now shared to the shelf. So if I want to preview what Batman the Hero is going to see on his page, you see that book's not there because his tier limits don't include a 4. So let's add this to the let's add a book to the list here. The Antidote. You can add a note for the co-op. Great for your older teens. Whatever you want to say here, or this goes along with this module or this learning period. You know, say you're having a section of learning on the American West, so you pull a bunch of Westerns into this. You could make a list for Westerns. But anyway, so now we have the antidotes on this list. This is for teens. This one isn't part of the school term. This is just a good list of books that the teens can read. And so you don't have to pick a week in your term. You can just leave it as is. All right, so let's go to a kid's account and see what that looks like. All right, so Batman the Hero, because we added a reward here, we're going to... All right, so next reward is a pool trip. And he already has 10 points. So he reads one of these books. These are from the shelf. And see how he doesn't see that 4 here? These are books that were assigned to him by the parent to read. You can only assign a book that you actually have on your Bookrata shelf, so a book you've purchased through Bookrata. Otherwise, whether you get this from Amazon or you go to the library and pick it up, whether it's a physical book or an ebook, it doesn't matter. So they get to say, so he says, oh, I finished Fablehaven. Now let's go back to the grown-ups account. And we'll refresh it here. So now we see Batman the Hero has claimed that he finished the book. You get to decide if he did or not. You approve it. It adds points to his account. He now has 20 points. He has enough to go to the pool this weekend. So we're going to redeem that and mark it delivered. Okay, so that used 10 points. So let's go back to Batman the Hero's page. He's back down to 10. And we're starting over. As soon as he gets a new reward goal, it will show up here on the page so that he can track it. And then on a kid's page, like I said, he's limited in which books he sees based on the tier limits that you set as the parent. So you locked him in no higher than a 3 in language. So it's December. He wants to read a Christmas book. Your family already owns this book. Awesome. So he can just ask his parent to assign it to him so that he can read it right here in the Bookrata app. So let's go back to maybe one his family doesn't own. He hits save for later. Okay, let's go back to the parent. He says, hey, Mom, I saved a book. Only the parents can add books to the co-op shelf because they want to make sure they've looked at them first before they start recommending them to all the other families. So we see on the save books, Batman the Hero just saved this book. Looks like it might be a good one for him. Let's look it up. The ratings are good. Reading the summary, the tags. Yeah, this is a book that Batman the Hero will probably like. Let's share it to the co-op shelf so that all the other parents can see that as well. And now it's here on the shelf, and it shows that it was shared by the Williams family. All right, this is a user family. So this is a family that the co-op owner invited. We've named it the Bookrata admin family. And so I got to choose that name. And again, I get to create the kids in my account. You can add up to 4 kids. And then it shows what other families are in the co-op, but because you're not the co-op manager, you can't change anything. You're one of the members of the co-op. You see here, you see the challenge that the co-op administrator set for the entire co-op. That's right here, and as books are finished. So let's say my kid, Monster Mash, finished this book. So I'm going to mark it finished, and look, now we see that one of the kids in the co-op finished it. So our reading challenge is on its way. Marked finished for Monster Mash. Monster Mash will now get points, personal points. Has 10 points. And Monster Mash read today without even being asked. So I'm going to grant him 5 extra points. Perfect. Oh, look, another family added a book to this list for teens, so I wonder if my teenager will enjoy this book. Let's see. Maybe? No, that's too much. I'm okay with 4 and some, but it's a little too high for my teenager and sex. So we're going to say we're not going to read that in our family. So even though it was added to the homeschool list, you don't have to read it. You get to make the choices for your family. And it's not part of the term reading, so it's not part of your schooling efforts. It was just a list that was created. But what if you wanted to add another book to that list? You can. So say, look, I added Faking the Fall. It's a sweet romance to the shelf, but I want to add it to this teen list because I read it and I think it'd be great for teens. So we're going to add it here, and now everyone else will be able to see that this book has been added. And everyone can see the rating right here, so you kind of have an idea in advance what it is that you are looking at. All right, so preview is Monster Mash. That's what Monster Mash will see in their account. All right, so tons of features there in your homeschool co-op. Again, family members, friends, church groups, homeschools, however you want to arrange it, you can use this co-op feature to do this, and it's a lot cheaper. When you're working together with other families, your price goes down. So the co-op manager is actually on their account, so they pay the subscription every month, and then you can figure it out amongst yourselves, whether you Venmo or Zelle or whatever each other, to cover your part of the cost. So that's the homeschool co-op feature on Bookrata. If you have other features you'd like added, if there's something that you would like to see here in the co-op, leave it down in the comments. Let us know. Maybe it's something we're already working on or a great idea we haven't thought of yet, but we'd love to keep improving and making the homeschool co-op a great place for families to get together and encourage reading with their kids. Catch you next time. Thank you for watching.